Hello and welcome to another Maintenance Right on Schedule tutorial. My name is David, and in this video, I'm going to cover how you can update the quantity of items in your inventory. There are three basic ways. The first is through the Update Inventory process, accessed on your inventory page. The second is when you complete a task that has an associated inventory item. And the third is through your shopping list. I've covered all of these topics in other videos, but they're important enough that I want to include them here. I won't spend the time showing how to set up all the details needed to use these methods, but I'll have links and pop-ups to the appropriate videos. We also have other tutorials with lots more information about how to set up and use our entire inventory feature, which you can check out using our inventory playlist or at our tutorials page at MaintenanceROS.com/tutorials. Let's get started. Once again, we're starting out on our inventory page, and we're going to cover the Update Inventory process. We can access that using the button up here in the top right. This should look very familiar because it's the same process you went through when you added all of your parts to your inventory. We have to give a quick summary of what happened so we can identify this change in the future, and let's just go ahead and call this our West Marine supply run. Now we can adjust the timeline of when this happened and thus when the items will be noted as added to your inventory. I'm going to keep it as just right now, and since this is a bit of a simplified tutorial, I'm not going to show how to add new parts to your inventory, but it can be done here. Instead, let's use the drop down and choose something we've already added before. Let's say we're adding some new Volvo impellers. Now, if I had more than one group, say for example, I had two different storage locations where I kept the impellers, the system would ask me to select the appropriate group. But since I've only kept these in one location and only have one model number on board, the system selects the group automatically. You can override that if you'd like by hitting the pick button and then creating a new group. Alternatively, if you're buying more than one of the item and will be storing them in separate locations or any difference in attributes that you set up to track, if any of those are different, then you can add an additional group using this three-dot menu over on the right-hand side. Now I'm happy with this default group, so we'll leave it as is. Now we have to make sure that we capture the change to our inventory, and in this case, we're adding parts, so I'm going to use a positive number, say 2, and we can see the change to our final inventory quantity, which increases by the amount that we're adding. Now, just for fun, let's add a few more parts to the shopping trip. Why not add a few more oil filters? This time, we do have to pick a group, and I will choose the one that is stored in our Volvo Penta bin in my midship cabinet. And I will add, we'll say 3 of these. But let's say accidentally, I didn't actually want to add some oil filters, so I can remove an item. And I do that using this three-dot menu again over on the right-hand side, remove. So we end up with just the impellers after all. But finally, we can come down and add some notes or files if you want. Again, I'm going to keep mentioning this. Keeping a copy of the receipt can be super helpful. Now once we're done, we can go ahead and hit save. Right away, we can see in our recent changes, we have got a new line item, and if we come down, we can see the quantity of our parts in inventory has been updated. Now, if we want to reduce the items in our inventory, you can do that the same way. I'm going to select Update Inventory again. This time, let's say we're being a super helpful boat neighbor, and we're donating to a friend in need. I'm going to give a summary of donating to SV Mirny. We'll keep the timeline as is, select the part that we're donating. How about, use the drop down, how about an impeller? Make sure we're taking the impeller from the correct group, and this time we're going to input a negative number to signal that we're taking an impeller out of our inventory. So we started off with, let's see here, started off with 5, taking 1 out. We end up with 4. So we hit save, we come back to our inventory page. So now this update inventory process covers all the ways you can come up with for taking or removing items from your inventory. but it is a manual process that requires you to come in and make a dedicated entry. If you've spent the time to attach items from your inventory to maintenance tasks, the inventory adjustments happen automatically, and that's the second method we'll talk about. I won't be going over how to attach inventory items to maintenance tasks, but that dedicated tutorial should be popping up about now. Now in this example, let's examine the process of completing one of those tasks that require an inventory item. Now there's lots of different ways to access your maintenance tasks. Here on the boat inventory page, we have a scheduled inventory usage section that will highlight any upcoming tasks that require parts. Now, for simplicity's sake, I could do one of these, but let's not be simple. I'm going to go ahead, come to our equipment page. I'm going to look at our port engine this time, and let's go ahead and where is my oil change? Always have to do some oil changes. There we go. Replace engine oil and oil filters. Clicking on that brings us to the task page, where we can see more information on exactly what parts are going to be required. Now let's go ahead and complete the task. Since we had previously set up the system to say doing an oil change requires one filter, we can see that completing this task is going to automatically remove one from our inventory. Hopefully, again, this section looks a bit familiar. We have to pick which group we're using. Since I currently have the oil filters noted as stored in two different places, we're going to take this one out of our Volvo Penta bin, hit the pick selected, and now that is all noted appropriately. We're again only using one from the correct group, so I can then hit save. Oh, it would help if I actually looked at everything appropriately. This time it's asking me to update some metric values for my engine as well. Let's go ahead and just say the engine hours up to 2044. Now I can hit save. Likes that a little bit better. So we're back on our task page. We can come down to this task history, and if I look at the details for the task that we've just completed, sure enough, it sees that the inventory changes show that we have used one oil filter to complete the oil change. Now, if we come back to our inventory page, we can see in our recent changes that the task has been completed and captured here as well. So now there is a way to tell the system a task used an item from your inventory, even if you hadn't previously attached it to the task. This can be incredibly useful if you're working on a project, discover the inevitable has happened, and you have to use an unexpected part to fix something. Now I'm going to come into my task page. We're going to just choose a random task. Yeah, sure, this coolant looks good. And we're going to go ahead and mark it as completed. And you'll notice we have an option down here. Do we want to add any inventory used? We can click on that, and then at the bottom, we can add any part in our inventory to this task. So spending time to associate inventory items with a task is the most efficient way to keep things updated. But having this option here means that you won't have to complete a task and then still manually update your inventory. Now that covers 2 out of our 3 ways to add or modify inventory. And the third is again back on our boat inventory page using the inventory items or using our shopping list. That's what I'm trying to get to. So using this method only adds item to your inventory, and let's do a quick example. I'm going to add some items to my shopping cart. Since we just donated an oil filter, I'd like to go ahead and add one more into our inventory. It comes up with our default status of to buy, and I'm not going to change that in this video, but if you go and watch our tutorial on how to use the shopping list to its fullest extent, in that video, I cover everything. So now this is just a very quick and easy example. So I'm not worried about changing things. I just want to check our current inventory levels, how much I want to purchase, and make sure I'm getting the appropriate quantity. And then I can come over, use the 3 dot down menu and add to inventory. Need to give it a quick summary. So we'll do oil filter restock, pick the appropriate bucket. Again, this is going to go into my Volvo Penta bin. The part numbers are still the same, so it's just the location that's different. Hit my pick selected, and I'm adding one more into my inventory. Hit save, shopping list empties. Now we come back to the inventory page, and the Volvo Penta oil filters has now increased back up to 8 in our inventory. We have successfully added. And with that, we have covered the 3 main ways to add or remove inventory items within MaintenanceROS. I hope it was helpful to have this video kind of putting it all together in one place as a refresher. Our other videos have much more information on the steps or information needed to set up your inventory items or attach items to maintenance tasks, so I would definitely recommend you check those out as well. As always, if you have any questions, please leave a comment down below or reach out at support@MaintenanceROS.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.